So I told David this, but I noticed that like I can't see his team right now because of my internet issues, but like his whole draft lineup. But I noticed that all of his Pokemon were hit super effective and were pretty much able to be one shot by your Greninja. And I really didn't understand why he brought both Pyroar and Houndoom. And it was kind of confusing because I felt like he didn't have any bulk that especially could be any sort of resistance to Greninja, much less also your Pinsir.
That's exactly what I was thinking. There was no bulk effect at all. And with the added, like, two of his Pokemon were weak to water, two of his Pokemon were weak to dark. So, I mean, that pretty much leaves you wide open.
I mean, his most bulk was Aegislash.
And you also have the problem where instead of using maybe Smeargle could have been an answer to Aegislash, or for Ninja, if he might have packed 4 on a Focus Sash, but instead he tried to use it for damage. And I thought that was kind of a mistake.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say about his opening strategy. The first 5 turns I thought were hilarious and actually really inventive. But, he first, pulled off the trick with the Flame Orb, which I thought was a really neat way to get around Magic Bounce to, like, inflict status. So I'll give that to him for, unique plays. I think that was pretty cool. Of course, Xatu just switched out and went out into Greninja. And I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then I'm like, well, he could probably switch out here, expecting the Dark Pulse into Houndoom. But, like, really, at this point, I don't blame him to let Espeon go down because he didn't have a switch-in. He never really had a switch-in for anything.
That's the problem. That something's going to not really like what it's going to switch into.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter to, like, switch in and take that hit because Greninja outspeeds his entire team.
Like I said, I think Focus Sash on the Smeargle with a Spore Pack would have been really the only way to do that.
Yeah. And I didn't understand, unless he predicted, maybe he did, on turn 3, he went for a Dark Pulse when the Greninja was still in. And he was fortunate enough for him to switch out to Xatu. But, I was like, okay, well, whatever. And then he goes for Magic Coat, which I think was hilarious because he knew that like Xatu usually carries Thunder Wave. So I was like, you know what? Props to you. So far, you're holding your own even though you lost Espeon. That's kind of neat, especially for something like Xatu that loves Thunder Wave and Air Slash. And then he goes for a Dark Pulse and gets the flinch. But after that, it seems to fall apart.
Well, the Dark Pulse, even with the predict, you end up with 19%. There's just no power there for Smeargle.
Mm-hmm.
You can't draw on it any damage. And then the Magic Coat is cool, but then why burn it in the first place? I think you're better off at that point to switch to choice specs with Xatu in the first place. And then you transfer Paralyze onto it, and it's basically used. I thought Trick, if he would have had choice specs for that, would have been a kind of a game changer for him. Because Xatu paralyzes like 3 of his Pokemon turn by turn by turn here.
Yeah. Yeah, it also became kind of, for him to keep momentum of any sort, he had to play mind games just to get him to bait the Thunder Wave, but it never really gave him momentum to do that. But eventually, like you said, the Smeargle got paralyzed, and then he went for a Tail Glow. I'm like, why did you wait till now to use it after you're going to get taken out next? Ah.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
But the problem is, even then, even if he Tail Glows and switches to something else, it's still going to get outsped by Greninja.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been momentum, but...
mistake on Daniel's part. He brought Skull when if Greninja could have used Surf or as a sweeper, I think he should have gone for Surf. Add a little extra power.
Or Hydro Pump if he wanted the risk of missing.
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to play it a little safe.
Yeah, I usually find myself picking Scald over Hydro Pump. But that's just a personal preference.
The burn's nice, but I feel like if you're going to pack a sweeper like that, you got to go power over the burn.
Yeah, that's true. So the Tail Glow is honestly surprising, because at that point, I figured he didn't have anything else to use against the thing, but I was like, if you have Tail Glow, Dark Pulse, okay, that's interesting, kind of weird, and you waited this long to, like, set up. Had you done that beforehand, you probably would have killed it even if you got paralyzed. But he didn't do that, and I didn't see the baton pass, which he could have had, but, like, I don't know. After he fainted, I was like, okay, this is weird. And then he goes out into Houndoom and lets it get Thunder Waved. And, like, I'm like, okay, I don't really understand this. Yeah, you took out the Xatu, but now your fastest Pokemon and your strongest Pokemon against his team is pretty much nerfed. And I didn't really understand. Like, he could have gone out to, Starmie if it had Natural Cure. Like, and he could have taken it and hit an Ice Beam or Scald or Hydro Pump or whatever and then swapped out, and then the Thunder Wave would have meant nothing. But he didn't do that either.
And if you're going to be that aggressive with your Mega, you've got to have something with either Heal Bell or Wish, or hopefully both.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't afford to lose that early.
Is that it?
But yeah, from there it was just over.
It's over here. Yeah, it was weird, and then from then on it was pretty much just one shot on everything. The only other thing I'll say is that I don't really know why he's brought Toxic on Aegislash both weeks, and that makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah. I get it. I'd get it if it was something that could heal itself, but Aegislash really has no access to recovery except for leftovers.
Yeah.
So.
And at that point, it's like you should, in my opinion, if you're gonna run some sort of like status thing, it would probably be better to like have, I don't know. Honestly, what I would have run in those scenarios is I would have run Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak, King Shield, and Swords Dance or Iron Head. And it seemed like all he had was King Shield, Toxic, and maybe Iron Head or Shadow Claw, and then whatever his fourth move was.
The Sacred Sword, the lack of that is kind of crazy, I feel like, because that's really his best move.
And he would have lived, a Dark Pulse, and he could have gotten off that Sacred Sword and at least got one more kill.
Yep, taking Greninja. Well, at that point, you can almost just switch into Aegislash first thing and go 1-for-1. But I digress.
Yeah, he really needed that Houndoom in order to handle the Mega Pinsir, for one thing, because the Mega Pinsir would have swept his team too if it had the chance.
Yep.
But he needed the Mega Houndoom intact to do that because it outspeeds and it has, stab super effective on it. So, I don't know. I guess go ahead.
This is the second week that we've only seen 2 Pokemon out of Dam.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works.
Yeah. So I guess overall, this was a 5-0 victory for the Charmillionaires. I saw a couple interesting things, but I really it seemed like he didn't prepare, and the team building, I think he set himself up for failure, because the only chance he would have had with this team is if he had Sacred Sword and he played the right card to get Greninja and Aegislash out on the same field without Aegislash taking damage entering the field. And he could have had a chance
there.
there.
Sacrifice the Pokemon and try and go 1-for-1, but you're still sacrificing Pokemon and damage for one Pokemon at that. So I think team composition had him doomed from the beginning.
I agree. Daniel, any other thoughts?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. Alright. Well, the next match we'll talk about is the Mucks versus the Gengars, which was an interesting one, I think, as well. I have mixed feelings about it. Is there anything you guys can see off the top of your head that you want to say real quick?
Looking at the teams, not so much. This one, I thought that you had a misunderstanding of Pokemon's job, and it cost Master 47, who is not the Mucks, whoever that is.
The Gengars.
The Gengars, yeah. I thought it cost him like 3 Pokemon, not knowing what his Pokemon's jobs were.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm seeing trends of things that people either aren't learning or aren't, either that or they're just bringing the same Pokemon each week, and it's costing them, matches or differential. So the Mucks are coming off a win from last week, and I think that they played decently considering like how much they've played, and I feel like they showed signs of growth in last week, and we talked about that. And there were still some things I was like, I'm not really sure why you did that, but that's fine. It still ended up working out. One thing we did talk about that I thought was really cool is he brought the Scopeland Superlook Absol instead of the Mega Absol, and it ended up working out.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was really cool because I don't remember really. I mean, I think somebody said that there's been only one other time where someone brought their non-mega form with an item to a match. It's usually almost always has it been like you just bring your mega, like it's almost assumed, but you don't have to, So looking at this, I'm like, okay, Seismitoad versus the Gliscor, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that Seismitoad should go for Stealth Rocks, and he did last week after a couple moves, and I'm like, okay, interesting. And so he starts, and obviously Seismitoad has the advantage against against the Gliscor. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And so he gets the knockoff on the Seismitoad, and I'm like, okay, gets rid of the leftovers. Kind of makes sense, but maybe Stealth Rocks would have been a better play if he had them, which we learn later he doesn't. But Seismitoad goes for a Scald, hoping to get the burn to prevent the Toxic. So that makes sense. I'll give him that one. He switches out and goes into Torterra, and thinking, I'm not sure what. And then
I think it's just going for the grass weakness.
Yeah, even though it's neutral hit from a Scald. That's maybe something he didn't realize, but he gets the burn, and that's pretty... as it shows later on, it's actually not good for him at all. But he, takes 20%, gets burned, and he's kind of just sitting there. And so now, Seismitoad just throws out the rocks, because even a Woodhammer wouldn't one-shot Seismitoad. And Seismitoad, the Torterra just throws out an Earthquake, which I didn't really understand. And I was like, okay.
I think he thought he was going to switch.
Yeah, with the burn, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what he would have switched to, though, that would... I don't know. Maybe he was going to go out to Muck, he thought. So, okay, I'll give him that, I guess. But then he goes for Woodhammer with him staying in, and he gets punished like crazy for it because of Garchomp.
Yep.
And then, let's see. Dragon Claw. Synthesis. It's kind of a stalemate, so he switches out from Torterra to Feraligatr. Gets a 61% for Alligator. I would not have switched in Feraligatr on, into a Garchomp Earthquake or Dragon Claw, just because
I think you should have thrown out Gliscor.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been a much better play because Garchomp would have I think this matchup actually happens later, would have had a much harder time at that point. But he goes out for Alligator, and it just literally gets bodied the next 2 turns. And that thing probably had Ice Punch, and if it was able to set up an Agility Swords Dance or Dragon Dance, yeah, any of those would have been completely fine. But he let it go down, and he goes out into Drapion, which I don't know why he did that, because Garchomp just destroys it.
Yep, he lost, like I said, 3 Pokemon because he didn't know what his Pokemon's jobs were. Gliscor does a great job of being a physical wall, but instead he sacked 3 Pokemon to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that cost the match.
Yeah, he lost a lot of power at that point. So he gets the knockout on, what was it, the Drapion, and then he goes out into Golurk, and Garchomp ends up packing the Aqua Tail, which he hadn't shown before when he was hitting the Gliscor, so that was just a good play, I think, on the Muck's part. It ends up, taking out the Golurk. And then he finally goes out to Gliscor, like you're saying, and it's kind of just a back and forth. And he goes for Dragon Claw, and then
Why didn't he use Aqua Tail?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because Dragon Claw, even with the stab bonus, is 135, but Aqua Tail does 180 power. So, I'm not sure why he did that. But then he goes for an Earthquake, I guess thinking that he might switch out. But that still didn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, even if he switches, Electros has Levitate.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking there. And then he goes for... This is where it gets weird in this match. But he goes for a Toxic and gets the Toxic on Garchomp. He's just going to stall him out at this point. He goes for Stone Edge, which also does less damage than Dragon Claw. And so at this point, it just doesn't make a lot of sense what the Mucks are doing. And, Gliscor is just capitalizing on these bad plays. And so Garchomp finally switches out, goes out to Seismitoad, and then the Gengar switched to Electros, and I knew that this thing had Giga Drain. That was the only reason he switched out. And
yeah, you knew. Otherwise, he'd go into Torterra.
Yeah, it would have made perfect sense. So he hits the thing with the Poison Jab instead of switching out, and the Giga Drain, of course, takes out the Seismitoad. So then we've got Zebstrika, which, by the way,
a great play at this point if he could have predicted that Giga Drain.
Yes, it would have been.
I imagine probably had Sabs.
It might have, or it may have had Motor Drive or something. But yeah, you're right. It could have had something good. He then goes up to Zebstrika, which, by the way, he's using Zebstrika pretty well. Week 1, he was able to get some initiative, which he hadn't really done before, by using Volt Switch when he first sent it out, because he knew that they were going to send it out, or switch. And so he showed signs of improving in that way. And so he kind of does that here, but he ends up getting punished for the switch out because his Muck gets burned.
Yep.
So,
Which was a little lucky.
Yeah.
10% chance off the flamethrower. But the Muck didn't exactly have the bulk to switch into that flamethrower anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a mixed play. It could have been a decent play, because you never really think that Fire Blast or Flamethrower is going to get a burn, but sometimes it does.
Yep.
So at this point, he goes for...
struggle with Muck, just how to make it useful in general.
Yeah.
Yep. I get the Poison Touch, but at the same time,
He used that effectively last week, actually, with the Poison Touch.
Last week was really cool, actually.
Yeah, because he used like an Ice Punch or something, and it poisoned the guy. That was great.
Yeah, but he used Shadow Sneak last week. Wasn't like pretty straight Pokemon. I was thinking he might be using a Finish Shock.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. So at this point, he just kind of goes for Shadow Sneak, which does literally nothing because of the burn, and gives him pretty much a free switch, which, since he was faster, he could have gone for something, you know, stronger. Even with the burn, it would have been some more damage. And so he goes on to Torterra. Muck is packing the Ice Punch, but at this point, it just does nothing. And obviously, the Muck just goes down to the Earthquake because it can't really do anything else. And so he sends out Volcarona finally, and this kind of frustrates me.
Where's the Quiver Dance?
I know. So Volcarona just goes for the Flamethrower, I guess just to get the kill, because an Earthquake would still do okay damage. So that makes sense. That's turn 20. Turn 21, he goes for a Bug Buzz against Gliscor, which makes no sense because it's resisted. Maybe he didn't know.
Yep.
That's fine. He goes for a Roost, he switches out, and the Garchomp is already poisoned. He goes for an Aqua Tail to do over 50, but... And then the Gengars go for a knockoff, and the knockoff, like, there was no item on it at that point, so that didn't make much sense.
I think it was his only offensive move.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because it was knockoff, Toxic, Taunt, and Roost. So, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then he goes on to Absol, and this just killed me. So, the first Sucker Punch failing, fine. He goes for the second Sucker Punch, and I don't know why the Gengars used Taunt. I guess unless, like, he thought maybe he had Sword Stance on him, but he obviously wasn't going for that.
I think he just thought he was trying to lose some of the moves on Sucker Punch. That was basically it.
Maybe.
But I don't see how that's an effective strategy either.
Yeah. And so Absol tries to do damage, but gets stalled out with the poison, and he just kind of lets Absol go down. And he even goes for like a Play Rough, which does less damage than Sucker Punch and Night Slash.
I guess he was just searching at that point.
Yeah, I guess he was kind of just stuck because he couldn't do anything to Gliscor, and so that thing goes down. I still don't feel like it needed to go down, but then he goes out to Zebstrika and goes for Magnet Rise, which at that point he had already seen all of his moves, I think.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to fear the Earthquake.
And it's on a balloon.
Yeah, he didn't have to fear the Earthquake, so I'm not really sure why he did that, but now it gets, toxic. Then he goes for a Thunderbolt.
Yep.
2 turns in a row.
It's a bad play, no matter what Pokemon he switches into there.
Yeah,
so I don't understand the thought.
2 Thunderbolts, though. He went for 2 Thunderbolts.
Again, that might have been his only offensive move.
I mean, what else would he have had? Magnet Rise, Thunderbolt, maybe Volt Switch. It did have Volt Switch. I don't know.
Yeah, and
what
then
the other would be.
maybe Thunderwave.
Or Overheat. I don't know. But Overheat would have done some damage. Anyways, he switches out, and
we finally get the Quiver Dance.
yeah, but like Volcarona gets knocked off first, which the Rocky Helmet was interesting, and then he gets Toxic, and he finally goes for Quiver Dance twice, and he uses Bug Buzz and gets some lucky crits and stuff, but he should have just gone for Flamethrower. And why did he have Flamethrower instead of Fiery Dance? Why? Fiery Dance just is so much better in almost every way. I didn't understand why he did that. It's a little less power, but it has that chance to give you a +1 or +2 in special attack, and that's just like totally worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
So it ends up being a
Well, it's not
2-0,
like-
but I'm not sure. I feel like the Gengars probably should have won that. At the last like 10 moves, even though they really screwed themselves over in the first half of the match. Like, with Gliscor and everything, he probably should have won with considering, the bad plays at the end that the Mucks made, even though they prepared better.
That Bug Buzz crit probably got him the game.
Yeah. Zebstrika wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's another kind of weird match, but there were a few good things, but a lot of it was just like they either didn't understand like certain concepts, or they were, I don't know, not paying attention. But what are you gonna do? So the next match will be Fakemon United versus the Richmond Rykos. And this match was also pretty interesting. I thought that this was a pretty decent match, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think they both prepared pretty well. I don't see anything, just in my face that says they didn't prepare good or anything.
No. The one thing I will say is it's hard to run Mega Aggron without a cleric.
Yeah.
And
Blissey should have had Heal Bell.
Yeah. And free Heal Bell and a Wish wouldn't go bad either.
You know what I just realized? 2 people ran Trick Flame Orb this week.
I know.
That was the first I'd seen it too.
Yeah, I'd never seen that before.
Both times, though, I thought choice specs would have been better.
Yeah.
I mean, you give Dusclops choice specs, and it's basically useless for the rest of the game.
Yeah, plus it could work for Chandelure. He doesn't have to trade it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that was an interesting play again. Like, I thought that was something cool because we hadn't seen it before, but it probably wasn't an optimal play. But they both end up switching out turn 1. And the matchup is now Chandelure and Dusclops. And the only advantage was that Dusclops was burned, which is just, residual damage is all it is. But he ends up having to switch out anyways and goes into Hydreigon. Hydreigon still can't one-shot it, so it loses a decent amount of health.
Eviolite?
Yeah. Well, actually, the Eviolite was gone at that point, so it was just its natural bulk.
Oh, you knocked off?
No, it was the trick that swapped him.
Oh, that's right.
True.
And it still ate up a Dark Pulse.
Yeah.
I thought the Shell Bell was also kind of an interesting choice, especially since it carried Roost. I felt like that was a bit redundant.
Yeah.
He should have run, modest Hydreigon with Shell Bell if he was going to do that, and not run Roost and extra coverage, or ran Roost and Life Orb or something. I don't know if he used Life Orb on something else, though.
Yeah.
So they kind of just exchange. I didn't understand the Hydreigon with Toxic either, because...
That's why Poison Umbreon.
Yeah, because he's just going to get poisoned back, and Umbreon always has Heal Bell if it's a Cleric.
Okay. That's the whole point of them. You get him poisoned, you Heal Bell, and you laugh. It's horrible. I hate fighting it.
I do too.
Right.
Then...
But yeah, I thought that the Hydreigon for that matchup, he kind of shot himself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah, getting your sweepers poisoned is one of the worst things in the world, David.
Yep.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, I know.
But, so, it's kind of just a back and forth for a while. They switch back and forth. I don't really see much momentum going either way. Blissey gets the aromatherapy off, which is fine. It fixes the problem with Hydreigon. But Raikou...
Switching Dusclops into Hydreigon was not a great move.
Yeah. And then, especially without the Eviolite at that point.
Yeah, the natural will get allowed to live one. But when you switch it in, it's not going to take 2.
Mm-hmm. So I did think that the Mega Aggron using Dragon Tail on the Baton Pass switch-in of the Shell Smash was a really good play. That was awesome. That really was, because if he didn't do that, that freaking Slowbro would have just totally destroyed him. It would have been hilarious, but I think it was really cool that he was able to play that. And then Gorbis gets a lucky burn on Aggron, and Thunder Punch doesn't do very much. He goes out into Volcanion, though, and gets the crit kill on Gorbis.
Yeah. It's the second week in a row his Aggron's got burned on him.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that about Cleric.
And then, so Volcanion gets the kill. Raikou comes out and he switches into Blissey. And then, obviously, he's just going for the safe Thunderbolt. And then he switches out and goes into Blaziken because he knows that Blissey's going to either heal or aromatherapy or soft boiled. And then from here, it just kind of down spirals. Because Blaziken just keeps getting kills. And nothing can really stop it until the Life Orb takes itself out.
Yep. That was, you want to talk about packing something? You probably talk about the team itself. Like, you probably need to prepare something as an answer for Blazing. Right. I also thought Volcanion would have been a great answer for Blaziken, but I was wondering why he didn't pack it. Also, the Rock Blast by Cloyster, I think he forgot that Blaziken was fighting and that resists rock.
Well, the fire type, it's a neutral hit, and that's probably all he had that hit at least neutral.
Yeah.
Because fire's weak to rock.
Right, but I don't think you switch into Cloyster unless you think that you've got a super effective shot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep.
If it was Choice Banded, I don't think it was, then it probably would have killed him, but it wasn't, so...
No.
So eventually Blaziken goes down from its own Life Orb. He switches into Raikou and... or actually, yeah, he switches into Raikou. And what does he go into? Volcanion just stays in and gets taken out by the Volt Switch. And then Slowbro sets up and demolishes the rest of his team, and there really isn't anything he can do about it.
Yeah, he does get the one Toxic off, and he has to switch out and heal Bell with Umbreon.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was still done.
Yeah, that Slowbro has demonstrated these first 2 weeks to be a massive wall to people, and it really is like just stopping all momentum because, you know, unless you have a strong Dark Ghost or, you know, electric type that hits on the special side, I mean, Shell Armor prevents crits, so you can't just get lucky with a physical sweeper. Like, you have to pack something that's going to hit hard on the special side, or you can't really do anything about it.
Exactly. Yeah, that thing is nasty.
Yes, it is. So that was a 3-0 victory for the Raikous. But, so the next one we'll look at, I'll go ahead and comment that the Alakazam's got the forfeit victory, which was a +6, of course, on the Black Ice. So that put them in first place, actually. So they're in first place as of this week. By, like, a margin of, like, +5 differential.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Pretty far in first.
Do what?
So pretty far in first.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's pretty close for the most part, though, when it comes to differential. But, yeah, he's pretty far in first right now. He played well last week, so... Let's see. Next match is the NPCs versus the Wobbuffets. And I will say this, maybe I'm wrong, but I really feel like the Wobbuffets could have had a even higher victory considering the plays of the NPCs.
Oh, yeah. I thought that there were a couple of really questionable plays.
Yeah, like the Klefki getting...
Really liked.
What?
There were a couple of plays, too, that I really liked.
Yeah, I thought that the paralysis on the Lucario, letting it get paralyzed, was a pretty bad idea.
Well, and the worst part about all that was that he switched from a Pokemon that could not be paralyzed and watched Rotom. in order to get into his Lucario and let it get paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that. Maybe he didn't know that the thing had Prankster and thought he could just body it before it would do anything to
I
him.
don't know.
Maybe.
But then he just sets up spikes before it goes down later on. But it took a lot from the from Mega Lucario just to take that one thing down.
Yep. Can I just say, Ambipom is still awesome.
Ambipom is still
Okay.
awesome.
Yep. That play on Wash Rotom was just nice.
Yes, it was. It was very nice. I thoroughly enjoyed the double hit.
Yeah. Oh, I always love double hit on him.
I like Last Resort on him better.
Yeah, Fake Out Last Resort's a pain.
Yeah, I like that.
I've always liked the double hit and then U-turn. And that's what I thought was lacking there. He could have U-turned out if he was backing in when Metagross came in and kept momentum.
Yeah, you're right.
Ambipom.
Yeah,
So, I
Ambipom
think
didn't
you
have
guys
to
are
go
right.
down.
Yeah, I think you either need U-turn or you need, like you guys said, fake out last resort.
And you could also pack the knockoff. I almost always run knockoff when I'm not doing the Fake Out Last Resort set.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Just because the Dark, I mean, that would have done so much damage to the Metagross before it even, like, had a chance to do anything. And, you know, later on, the, my Lodec goes down, where? I don't remember where. But, like, it took unnecessary damage from the Metagross. Like, even though it was less than 20%, it was still unnecessary. Because he also took the Rocky Helmet damage. Okay.
Yeah, the Dragon Tail I didn't understand. Why get rid of Metagross? You're perfectly walling.
Yeah, I didn't understand that
That's your
either.
best matchup.
I did, the one thing that really frustrated me about, you know, this set for Tyranitar, and this happened last week too, is why on earth would you run Thunder on a Tyranitar that has Sandstream? Like,
Yeah,
that makes absolutely no sense, because Sand makes Thunder even less accurate. And
I did not know that.
Actually, I checked that, and I could not find where Sand makes more Thunder less accurate.
maybe it's just
Now,
Sun
Heavy
then.
Sun does.
And it's, yeah. The sun.
Well, maybe never mind then. I still don't know why. If he wasn't going to run choice specs, he shouldn't be running special attacks on Tyranitar. It just...
Daniel would say.
Yeah. I don't know why you would run him as a special attacker. I like Dragon Dance a lot better.
Yeah. He also just does a ton of damage in general, so as long as you have Pursuit, like, you can take care of most things with, you know, regular Life Orb or, you know, Choice Band or anything like that. You really don't... He's not the special attacker of the team, and nor should he ever be. Like, he can be run, like, mixed and stuff to catch people off guard, and that can still be really good, but I don't see the point in it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But he smacks people with the Stone Edge. Like, if you're talking about like a choice band or something like that, Stone Edge does major damage.
Yeah, so does Pursuit.
Stone and Crunch.
Yep.
So he kind of just takes out... I don't know why he let Milotic stay in. He could have switched into something, I think, and dealt with it accordingly, because Thunder wasn't going to hit unless I'm looking at his... Let's see. He could have switched
There was nothing to switch
into...
into.
Did he
has
not have
two
the
water
Armaldo
types,
at that
a flying
point?
type left.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He hasn't made Evolve Charizard yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
So yeah, he lets it go down, and I guess that makes sense. The Gardevoir then comes in after the... the Gardevoir takes out the Milotic, not the other one. And then I didn't understand why the Gardevoir was running Toxic unless it was a specially defensive set, but it didn't look like it the way it was hitting Milotic.
No, yeah, I can say I love especially defensive Gardevoir, but I'm not sure that was what he was running.
I would usually, if I'm running specially defensive Gardevoir, I'd rather run Will-O-Wisp, to be honest.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But then, Charizard comes out and Flare Blitzes everything into oblivion. So
Yep.
he just didn't really have an answer for it.
He had 4 Pokemon that did not like fire types. Gardevoir, Fortress, Lucario, and Metagross. I mean, really...
Rotom was his only wall, and I doubt it was a wall the way it was taking hits earlier.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, I think it came down to his decisions on who to get rid of, instead of Rotom Wash, as well as, knowing that Charizard was coming and not bringing something that resists it a bit better.
Yep. Left yourself wide open on
Yeah, you at least needed the Rotom to be 75%, I'd say, just so you could turn around and hit it with a Pain Split or a Hydro Pump just to get it lower health. But I mean, he didn't really have an answer for it except for Tyranitar. The only thing he could have done was bring a Choice Scarf Tyranitar with Stone Edge, and that would have probably killed the Charizard, but
Oh, yeah.
he didn't have that, so...
Or you could have tried to get Tyranitar out early. He danced and try and sleep. But
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that ended up being a 2-0 victory for the Wobbuffets. But I honestly, the way the NPCs played, it probably should have been a 3-0, but I don't know. I think it was still better. I still think he played better than he did the previous season he was in. But I just want to see him be able to, make some smarter plays. And I think that when it comes to team building, he probably does a bit better job than some of the other teams we've already talked about, like the Mucks and the Gengars and the Faladay. But I'd like to see him. Yeah, I think it's the decision making is he really needs to figure out predictions and all that. Alright, well, the last match is not because I'm partial, it was my favorite. Was my team, the Krookodiles, versus the Zubatman team. And
we're not biased.
no. I think it was the best because it was really close. And honestly, I was really concerned that you were going to bring Landorus. Well, which you did. But I mean Hippowdon, actually. Along with Clefable and Togekiss. And I was like, I really have to just, I can't not be prepared for those three. And so, knowing even though I still have to have answers for everything else, I didn't know what to do, so I was just like, I could bring Sableye, but if I do, and you bring both of your fairies, or just Clefable, I'm kind of screwed. So I had to have an answer that could actually take them out, and Scizor, unfortunately, would be an answer if it was, if it could take Fire-type hits better, but both Togekiss and Clefable can one-shot it, so, with Flamethrower and Fire Blast.
Access to flamethrowers.
Yep. So I was like, I have to come up with something special and different in order to pull this off. But Tyrantrum was my demise. Tyrantrum also was the one thing I realized I couldn't really have a strong answer for. And so I realized, oh crap, well I have to have something that can hit it and just hopefully I can whittle it down, but yeah.
But Drudagon did that to me too.
I was so proud of him.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I was so happy. So let's go ahead and break this down a little bit. So I opened up with Chansey, and I was like, I need to get my rocks up for residual damage. If I want to even, come close to this, I have to get some residual damage off. And I probably should have started with Blastoise, or I think my second turn I shouldn't have gone for the Icy Wind, and I should have just gone out to Blastoise because he was my answer for your Venusaur with the Mirror Coat. So I think there was kind of a misplay for me. I just didn't want to risk switching in Blastoise into an Earthquake or a knockoff, because then, he would be useless in that situation too.
Yep.
So I was trying to play safe.
I think that was a tough strategy.
Yeah.
Because you can't take damage there.
And I was thinking you were going to bring, if you didn't bring Tyrantrum, I knew Landorus was going to be Scarfed. And Landorus, Scarf Landorus bodies my whole team, except for maybe Chansey and Blastoise, if it's Scarfed. If it's not Scarfed, then, which I'm guessing it was maybe Rocky Helmet, I can't remember. Banded, okay, so it was choiced. I didn't know if it was, because you ran rocks. So that actually, I didn't even realize that. So you had Banded.
I was trying to keep you guessing.
Yeah, Togekiss, I'm guessing, was leftovers, right?
Yup.
Manaphy was Expert Belt, maybe?
No, Sashed.
Sashed, okay. And then Life Orb Bisharp, I think.
No, Lumberry.
Oh, that's right, because I got the status on you, I think. Maybe I did.
Paralyzed me with Rudicon.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And then, so I ran Expert Belt, Talonflame. Fun fact, by the way, I was calcing during our match yesterday, and Head Smash from a Choice Scarf Tyrantrum does 1,500% to Talonflame. So I just thought that was it. I was like, nope, not switching him in. I had leftover Zapdos, Expert Belt Weavile, Eviolite, Chansey, Citrus Berry Blastoise, and Life Orb, Sheer Force Druddigon.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't leftovers Blastoise.
Because I was running a sub-agility baton pass on the Zapdos, and I needed the residual recovery since I wasn't going to have Roost, so I could, if need be, pass multiple times to different people. I was hoping I could pass that to Druddigon, because that was the most important person that needed the speed, but...
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was tough because I was like, if only you had one more move slot, this would be fine.
Right.
So I played a little too safe, I think, in the beginning, but that's fine, I guess. So you just keep pressuring me with your Venusaur. I think, what do I switch out to? I switch out to Blastoise, and you switch into Bisharp, and I'm like, well, crap. I might as well get rid of these rocks, and you go for Swords Dance. I'm like, please live this. I live it, and I go for Roar, and that was good, but then, at that point, because I didn't expect the Swords Dance, I lost my ability to use Mirror Coat and live against the Venusaur, so I was like, well, now I'm screwed. He's pretty much useless unless he sets up rocks again, and I might be able to spin. But you go for the Sludge Bomb, and, I switch back out to Chansey. I really didn't have much of a answer, so I think I was just kind of stalling to try and figure out what I could do and maybe pass a Wish over to Blastoise, but I went for an Icy Wind on your Landorus, and that ended up helping some, but the Leech Seed didn't matter. Make it matter at all. Then you set up rocks again.
I like using Leech Seed, especially against the Walkmore, to get past recovery for a sweeper. It's really cool.
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing is it's 12% of the person who's Leech Seeded, so it could mean especially with Chansey, that could mean bank for other Pokemon when it comes to HP.
Exactly.
So you set up rocks again. I use toxic because I need some residual damage on you. I go for wish. And of course you go for knockoff, and at this point I'm like, well, Chansey's pretty much gone. So I kind of just let Chansey go down, and I was hoping to get the speed debuff on your Bisharp so I could switch out and go into Zapdos without taking a hit, because he wasn't faster than your Bisharp.
Yep.
And so I was like, well, I need that at least so I can get a sub up or, you know, Thunderbolt or something. I knew you thought I'd have T-Wave, which is why I went for sub instead. And Tyrantrum kind of ended my happiness. And I went for agility, and I was like, okay, I have to risk this like one more time, go for sub, and it pulls off because you miss. And then I'm able to get the safe switch into... I couldn't switch into Dredagon because I didn't have Outrage or Earthquake on him, and I was really sad about it. Because...
Yeah, I was wondering why no Outrage.
Yeah, I didn't run Outrage because I knew that I needed him... He was my answer for your fairies, ironically, with Gunk Shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lock myself into something, but Earthquake would have been a good answer too. But I needed the Glare just in case I was running, just in case the Tailwind what was up instead of the agility that was giving me the speed. So I needed that tech in order to secure my strategy, which ended up hurting me in the end. But I basically am able to go for some damage. You switch out to Tyrantrum, I get the Icicle Crash. I should have just gone for Sword Stance, but I wasn't sure if you would want to risk like living it, which you would have. But you didn't do that, and so I got the damage on your Venusaur. But had I done that, I probably would have not died one turn early. I probably would have gotten another turn out of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I kept going Sludge Bomb instead of Giga Drain too, because I kept expecting to switch into Talonflame.
Oh yeah.
Plus you poison Weavile with it.
Yeah, that was like the worst thing ever.
I mean, that would have been a very different game, I think, if Weavile didn't go down.
Yeah, because I could have played, like, I could have potentially, like, pulled off some shenanigans against the Bisharp, because the Bisharp could have still killed me, but I would have had to play the right mind games in order to get it to work.
Yeah, with the Ice Shard over Sucker Punch.
Yeah, and then maybe, because I had low kick for it, but I needed to live a Sucker Punch to get that off.
Yeah.
So, Weavile goes down after taking out the Venusaur, and I forget at turn 24 how many Pokemon are left each. Do you guys know? I think I had Zapdos. I think I had 3 left. Maybe I had Blastoise still, I'm not sure.
Zapdos, Dredagon, and Talonflame.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. And so you still had, I think, 4 Pokemon, right? Or maybe 5.
At that point I had Bisharp, Lando,
Tyrantrum.
Togekiss, and Tyrantrum.
Okay, so you had 4, I had 3. And I was like, okay, this isn't...
And Manaphy, 5.
Wait, what?
And Manaphy, I had 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did have 5. I was like, this isn't looking out good for me. My chance... Tyrantrum kind of stopped me from being able to pass anything. And so I'm like, well, this sucks, but I'll, go out to Dredagon and see what I can do. I ended up getting the Glare off on Togekiss and Gunk Shotted it to Oblivion, which was wonderful. I felt so satisfied.
Not bad.
And then I was able to Gunk Shot the Manaphy and live an Ice Beam, which was really sweet. And then the Sucker Punch finished it off.
Yep.
And then I paralyzed your stupid Bisharp, but it had a Lumberry. I'm guessing that was for Will-O-Wisp on the Sableye, though.
That was it.
Yep. Makes sense. And then I did that at first to slow you down in case you went for Sword Stance or Sucker Punch. And that didn't work, so I just went straight up for my Fire Punch, which I packed specifically for Bisharp. So
Yeah.
that worked. And then you went for Head Smash, and I switched out to Blastoise to take it. And then I was like, my only chance is to like get off some lucky hits with Druddigon, but I think at this point it didn't matter. So I just went for the Tailwind to get the boost because I knew Talonflame wasn't doing any more than 10% with any of his moves. So I just let him go down. I was expecting you to stay in because you really didn't have a reason not to, knowing my move pool, but you made the safer switch into Lando. But
oh, actually I did. You did not take into account pressure. I was out of TP for head smash.
Yeah.
no, are you serious?
All I was left with was
Oh my gosh. I really didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, that
I thought-
sucks.
I thought
Ah.
you did that on purpose.
Oh my gosh.
Weavile and Zapdos.
No, I couldn't run, I couldn't run, I either couldn't run or I meant to run static on Zapdos. But, man,
Maybe you did. I thought it
No,
was.
I was pressure.
man, that sucks. Because had I known that, I would have gone for a sub. And I would have gone
Yep.
for agility and then passed. And I could have at least gotten, you know, taken out the Lando, you know, first. Or I guess sooner. But it wouldn't have mattered because I didn't really have an answer for Tyrantrum.
Yeah. Well, but if you get Tyrantrum out there last, I can't use head smash or
Yeah, but if you had Outrage or anything that could hit the Druddigon, I didn't really... I mean, I had Fire Punch, Sucker Punch, and Gunk Shot. And Sucker Punch was the only move I could use that would do neutral damage.
gotcha. So yeah, and I'd be going up page.
Yeah, exactly. So I was, you know, even if I had that scenario where I knew that and I was able to pass an agility, I still would have needed Earthquake to secure that win. But, you know, I probably should have just gone without the Glare and gone with Earthquake, because I think even with the paralysis on Togekiss, unless it was on a switch-in, I could have just gone for Gunk Shot. No, you did switch out, and I went for the Glare again,
Yep.
and that ended up actually, that's probably why I was able to take out both Manaphy and Togekiss, so it was just a tough choice for me, I guess.
Yeah, because Glare actually did really well for you. Because I was going to go Paraflinch on you otherwise.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna pack that Thunder Wave and all those shenanigans.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a really good match. It was really close, but I knew that like there's too many things for me to have to handle all at once in my team building. That it was just gonna probably be one of those things where I didn't have enough like coverage to take care of it. But
Yeah, did Zapdos not have anything that could hit Landers?
it did not. Since I was running the Baton Pass Agility
that's
sub,
what
I had Thunderbolt for stab because I wanted to hit the Manaphy. Because everything else was neutral or resisted, and so I needed something that would handle the Manaphy so he couldn't tail glow up and all that.
Right.
I was hesitant about it because I was like, I really don't like the idea of him having, you know, Landorus and or Hippowdon being able to just have free switch-ins, but I was like, you know, I have Icy Wind on Chansey, I have Weavile, and I have Modest Ice Beam Blastoise. So I felt comfortable doing it, but I lost those things pretty early on, so I don't think it worked out the way I wanted it to, but that's just how it works sometimes.
Yeah. Well, his Tyrantrum got the best of me last time too.
Tyrantrum's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what helped me get my my, you know, place in the top 4 season 2. I think that's when I drafted it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Tyrantrum is a great move.
Yeah,
Right?
with the Rockhead, it's just insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically all you can do with
I just wonder what it would be like to have something like Tyrantrum and Victini on the same team. Because of Victory Star.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about trying to draft Bikini for that reason.
That would just be monstrous.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, that's pretty much it for the different matches and stuff. Was there anything else, like, either in general or about any of the teams that you wanted to say that I'll take note of?
No, I think I've said everything.
Thanks for watching, guys. If y'all enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want, subscribe for more videos. Hope to see y'all in the future, and thank you for watching.